Got a great guest in studio this morning talking volunteering with the fire departments around the area. And from Central Mason Fire and EMS, it's the Deputy Chief Mike Patti. Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am well. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Eclipse yesterday. Any random calls for service or anything?
No, it was, from the fire service aspect, it went pretty well. We all stood outside and watched it like everybody else in the community. Thought it was pretty cool.
The fact that it got, 12, 15 degrees cooler.
Felt that.
I don't think a lot of people maybe thought that was going to happen or something.
Didn't know about it until somebody said something on television, and went out and experienced that and watched the eclipse, and then it was over with.
How many folks do you think got out there and watched it yesterday with you guys at the fire hall?
Oh, well, all of us at the fire station watched it, but looking up and down the street and watching, there was a lot of folks. Post office watched, the folks across the street at the laundromat were watching it, and yeah, it was pretty significant.
Pretty cool thing. So 2024, I guess, is the next one. Not coming our way, but some sort of an eclipse.
Right.
Volunteering at fire departments, an important aspect of the firefighting service.
It is.
What's the percentage of fire halls that aren't fully staffed by full-time firefighters?
Well, according to NFPA and the National Fire Protection Association and FEMA, about 69% of all the firefighters in the United States are volunteer.
Whoa!
So it's a large percentage of firefighters in the United States are volunteer, and that number is dwindling for a lot of reasons. A lot of it is anymore economics. Families, it's a two-income family, and people are working harder, longer during the day, and free time is becoming a premium. So do they want to spend their time with their families, or do they want to go spend time training at the fire station? That's a big thing that we're finding why people are choosing not to come back to the fire department, is they just don't have the free time that they used to have. Another thing is that the training requirements that it takes. When I first started in the business, I was given some ill-fitting gear, a hat and a rubber jacket, and I was told to go follow this guy who'd been around 30 years and just do what he tells you to do. And now, once you get through the medical exam and the background check, you're expected to give up 2 nights a week and your weekends for about 4 months.
Wow.
To go through a recruit class.
Okay.
And that's just to get through the basics that is expected for you to know just before you even can go out and function. Then you come back to your fire station and you're taught the unique things about each fire district has to have. The traditional volunteer, where you go through your recruit class and then you go to a class or a drill once a week, and then pretty much you respond from home when your little alerting device goes off, is pretty much over. Now because of all the training that's required, you spend time at the fire station. Sometimes most of us have requirements where you have to spend X amount of time per month at the fire station, pulling a shift, for example. And there's just a lot of training and a lot of time involved. The state requirements and the federal requirements are the same for volunteers as they are for career staff members. Fire doesn't know the difference between a paid firefighter and a career firefighter, so we have to train our volunteers the same as our career members.
Wow. So there's a lot of obstacles, perhaps. Though if you have an idea that you want to be a full-time firefighter, can you jump right into that, or is it now you have to put some volunteer time in? Well,
certainly you can go out and start testing. The bigger departments, the Seattles, Tacomas, even the Lacey's and Olympias and the Bremertons are all full-time departments. They don't have volunteers. And certainly you can go in and apply and take those tests.
Okay.
And there are folks who have succeeded real well and gone on to be career firefighters just coming in off the street. But certainly it would help for you to become a volunteer firefighter to find out if this field is really for you.
Yeah.
There's more to it than, we don't play pinochle anymore. We don't just sit around the station and play checkers and pinochle. There's a lot involved to it. And it would really help for you to come in and even come in and just write a shift or so with the members with that shift to see if this is something that you really want to do.
Wow. So volunteer positions, so then I'm assuming they're not paid.
No, well, they get a stipend, what they call a stipend, and that's defined. It's usually for out-of-pocket expenses. If you're going to be at the station, for example, to respond to the station, if you're coming from home, there's gas involved. There's wear and tear on clothing, and there's a little bit of a stipend for your time involved. Usually, it's anywhere from $5 to $10. It's not much. If you're a firefighter who spends a 24-hour shift, there's usually a $25 to $50 stipend involved there because you're buying meals and things like that. So there's a stipend involved. It's certainly not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah. What are some of the requirements for a person of apt physical health, stamina? What do you need to be a volunteer?
Well, they go through a standard medical exam that the department will pay for. You'll go to the department physician and go through the standard physical. We ask you to submit to a regular Washington State Patrol background check and a driver's license abstract review to make sure that your driver's record is clean. I mean, it doesn't have to be free of citations, but we're not looking for speeding tickets. We're looking for the negligent driving or the DUIs, those type of things that are disqualifying.
Are those automatic disqualifiers?
If you have enough of them, yes. Each citation or each infraction has a certain point value assigned to it, and if you have so many points, then that will disqualify you.
Are those types of things impacting the volunteer levels
Yes.
too? Background checks?
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Not so much for us. I think probably in the 6 years that I've been at Central Mason, I can only think of one or two people that have been turned down because of a background check or a driver's check.
What's the solution here? How do we get more volunteers? Is there something the state can do as an entity to help, buttress some of these costs that are put in there? I mean, a lot of folks, like you mentioned, they're already working a full-time job. There's a significant other as well. And are there some more incentives the state could be looking into to bring people in other than just the...
Well, it's always dollars is always the bottom line.
Yeah.
Departments are paying for personal protective equipment. We're paying dollars for training, and training right now is a big thing. It costs the department anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 to $1,800 per person to get them through the recruit class.
Wow.
This year, the county's going to be going through the basic firefighter curriculum offered by the State Patrol, where the State Patrol's curriculum will be paid for through that program. Hopefully that will relieve us from some of that expense. But it's all dollars oriented, and then for the volunteer themselves, it comes from them.
Yeah.
It's hard to ask people or ask the state to reduce training requirements, because every one of those hours of training is required. I would hate to say we have to reduce training in ladders.
Yeah. Because
those are things that will get somebody hurt. It's the way of the world. It's just trying to keep our people from getting hurt. It's a lot better than it was when I started 40 years ago.
The average age of a volunteer in Central Mason Fire, or just around?
We have a fairly young department when it comes to our volunteers. But we also have them up into the 50s. One person's in his late 50s, and we have them at 18. So we've got the entire spectrum.
Do the younger kids have ideas of becoming full-time firefighters, and that's why they're going through this?
Right, most of them do. Then we have some of our older folks who have retired, and basically what they're looking at is they just want to drive the fire truck to the scene, drive our tenders, be able to deliver water, and let the younger folks fight the fires and pull the fire hoses and run the ladders.
Is the training for all volunteers the same, even if you say, well, I just want to drive? Most
of our older folks have gone through the recruit class somewhere else earlier in their career, and this is how they're going to end their career, as just being the drivers. Okay. So we're not going to ask them to once again go through the recruit class. If they can show that they've run through a recruit class previously, they bring that training with them, and we'll just ask them to orient themselves to our apparatus, go through our driver training program, and then recertify in their driving annually.
Are there ongoing classes to take, or is it a revolving door, or when can people sign up to start the process?
They can start usually right about now, because our recruit classes are held right about the first of the year.
Okay.
So right about now is a good time to contact your local fire district, let them know you're interested, start the application process, because like I said, we have a background check to go through, the medical exams, we have to fit you for gear. So there's a lot of work to do between now and the first of the year when the recruit class starts.
Well, it's good work to be done, and it's a necessary work that's
It is.
being done, and some 70% are volunteers in the fire department all across the country. That's a pretty big number,
Right. And there's
larger than I thought.
every department in Mason County depends heavily on volunteers. Most departments in the county are all volunteer, and some, like our department, Central Mason, District 4, North Mason's Regional Fire Authority, have some career folks, but just the same, we rely heavily on volunteers to complete our mission.
Well, if you're looking to help out the fire department and perhaps learn a little bit about yourself, maybe look towards a new potential career, fire in departments are great places to learn about that. Great guys and gals that are there putting their lives on the line to help the other folks in the community. Deputy Chief from Central Mason Fire and EMS, Mike Patti, also the Shelton Fire Marshal. Always good talking with you.
Thanks a lot, Jeff, for having us.
And
Appreciate
keep
it.
me updated on any kind of deadlines for that. I'll
I
make
will.
sure I announce it.
I will. Appreciate it.